Welcome to the She Can Achieve podcast, your destination for women's empowerment. I'm Regina Sloan, your host and life coach. Join us as we dive into inspiring stories and practical advice to help you thrive in every area of your life. I want you to listen with this question in mind, though. How can this be applied to my journey? Every episode is packed with gems if you're looking for them. Thanks for being here. Let's go. Hi, friends. Today we are going to be talking about boundaries. It's one of my favorite things to talk about because I'm always looking for ways that you can be in more control of your life, right? Like, how can I help you to have a better experience regardless of what's happening around you, who's behaving a certain way, what your mom is saying and doing, how your kids are acting, right? And how they're showing up, especially your adult children, those of you out there who are doing this teen adult life like I am. And then I have the 6 and 8 year old too. So I'm just like all over the place in my mind and parenting. So boundaries. Now, what I have learned in my work is that most people have a misconception around boundaries. We think that there's a preference that I want, and you should uphold that, right? I don't want you calling me after 10 o'clock. So why do you keep calling me at 10 o'clock? You need not to do that. There are so many different examples of this. I don't like to I don't like you to run late. You can say, you should be on time. You should. And I did not coin this, but I wish I knew where I first learned it because I like to give them their daps on that. But there's a saying, a coach, some coach somewhere was like, look at you shooting all over yourself. And I have used that over and over again because never, ever, and I don't like to use never super much a lot, but never does it ever work well for you to think about shoulds. Like, it just usually never leads to a experience that we want. And so, but boundaries, when I think the biggest conception is we have our thoughts and beliefs around how someone should behave, the things they should do. I have a preference and I've said that. And so you should uphold that. Or a mom should do this. A dad should do this. Your husband should do that. Your children should be this way. And that just never really works out because, as we all know, when you are doing life with humans, we can't control them. And many of you are trying to, and it's exhausting. It's exhausting to feel like, and you truly believe this, that people around you, if they behaved and were a certain way, then you would feel better. And so, if this is you, where you find yourself exhausted, you find yourself irritated, frustrated, just by the people you love, even, right? Where it's like, what in the entire F is going on? This will change your life. There's a book I'm going to reference and refer. I haven't read it. I'll start by saying that. But Mel Robbins, The Let Them Theory, I just have done so much work around this. I'm pretty sure that I know from learning from people who have read it and kind of looking at the clip notes, it's all about boundary setting and how for you to feel better, letting people just be who they are. But what I want to talk about here in our time together is to give you the very simplistic, simple definition of boundaries that will change your life if you let it. And many of my clients learn this with me. It's one of the first things you learn. Like, if you have trouble feeling well in your life because A, B, C, D person is behaving a certain way and they're causing you to feel a certain way, then in the first 30 days, you're going to get rid of that because of and this is one of the reasons right here. That is understanding what a boundary is and understanding what it isn't. And it frees you so much. It's one of the most simplest things that I have seen shift my clients in such a way. And sometimes you are holding on so strong to what you believe. Remember those shoulds I talked about earlier, that it can be a little difficult to break this. But when we do, it's like, huh, the whole world opens up. You notice that, oh man, I want to feel more peace. I want to feel more free. And all of my clients feel that without anyone changing around them, right? It's like, what kind of sorcery is this? It's boundaries and it's understanding what they are. So a boundary is actually two parts, okay? We tend to focus on the first part. People love to talk about the first part. I have boundaries, and my boundaries, you need to respect my boundaries. And so it's my preference, right? I don't want to be called after a certain time, or I don't want to be talked to a certain way. I have a boundary with my children, with my family now, that if you need something for the store, right? Like, I don't like to be told last minute, right? So don't tell me last minute that you need XYZ. Like, for me to like go to the store and get that then. So that's another one. If my kids need a ride somewhere, I'm not gonna go somewhere last minute. Business wise, I don't just take phone calls. And in actuality, for me, I don't typically take phone calls in general in the moment anyway, because my thought on that is I am busy, and busy as in not like running around, but busy as in I'm doing something. Even if I'm sitting here and I'm in my garden and I'm relaxing, I'm doing something. So I'm not going to stop that to answer a phone call. And so, people call, right? And like my boundary is like, don't you need to schedule a call for us to have a conversation, especially if we're going to be talking, like you want to talk and chit chat. You know how you can be on the phone with your girlfriends 30, 45 minutes. I am not going to answer the phone to something like that when I wasn't prepared for it. So those are some similar ones to mine. And I want you to be thinking about yours. Like, what are your preferences? What are your boundaries? It may be the way someone speaks to you. It may be the time in which someone gives you to finish a project at work. It might be last minute invites to parties or whatever. So I really want you to get in your mind as I explain and talk about boundaries. What is your boundary, i.e., preference? What's something that you're thinking about this one person just does not respect my boundaries? And get very clear on what that boundary is. Because essentially, that's really important. A lot of times I'm talking to my clients and they're very frustrated, they're upset with someone, but they're not even really clear on what that is. So we've got to first get clear on what is the boundary? What is the thing for me that I want less of from someone? Or a certain way that I want things done. You want to get clear first because no one is a psychic. We have to be able to communicate that. And if you're not clear on that yourself, then it's going to be very difficult to get someone else to understand that. So that's the first part. A boundary is a preference, it's something you prefer as a human being, and typically has to do with other people, right? What is that for you? Now, this second piece is where people get tripped up. We typically don't have a huge problem once we get clear on the person, the situation that's happening. It usually isn't too difficult to say, oh, there's that one thing I don't like. There's that boundary that this person is crossing that I don't like. But this second piece is where you all can get really tripped up, and it makes a lot of sense. And I'm going to explain why. So, the second part of a boundary is you uphold it. So, we've been conditioned to think that people should behave a certain way, right? There's a preference. We have one of my coaches, Brooke Hicks, talks about manuals. We all have manuals for people in our lives. You have a manual for how you think someone should be behaving. So I have a manual for my husband, my kids, my clients. We all do. It's a human experience. The interesting part is that typically those people have no idea what is in your manual for them. And so we have manuals for people. And in this instance, we're talking about boundaries. Oftentimes, we have preferences that people aren't even aware of, first of all. So there's the boundary you have, and then there's the thought we have that people should just know, right? And if they do know, they should just uphold it. This is where we're wrong. This is why people are running around trying to control other people. They're exhausted, it's overwhelming, you're frustrated, you're resentful because you've been conditioned to think that people should just behave a certain way. They should just know. That's just what you do. That is not true. And it's a very poison thought to have if you are wanting to feel better. So the second piece of this is you upholding that boundary, not the other person. So this might look like I don't take calls after 10 p.m., let's say. Say that's my boundary. And my thought might be, okay, my sister keeps calling me after 10. Why is she not respecting my boundary? Like there's a problem. And so I build resentment, I get irritated, I get frustrated. I've told her 5 times, she keeps doing it. Okay. In that instance, though, what I'm doing is putting my boundary onto this other person to uphold when actuality is for me to uphold. There's a boundary you have, and you're very clear on that with the person, but then there's your responsibility to uphold that boundary. I don't get to control whether my sister calls me after 10 o'clock or not. She has a phone, she has the ability to call me as many times as she wants to. My job is to not answer. So that's where we really get hung up on in boundaries. We think I set the boundaries and this person, this person, this person. are you upholding the boundary? It's your responsibility to do so. So, for example, I get business calls very often. I have other people in the community that maybe want me to do things for them or with them. I have people that were connected online. They even might call me through Facebook Messenger. They don't have my number, so they might call me there. There are lots of different projects that I'm collabing on with other people, and they might call me all different kinds of times, right? I don't answer because my boundary is I don't have conversations with people without it being pre-planned. Okay. And so I could spend my time getting frustrated with all these people and how they just calling me time and they should know that, I'm busy and I homeschool and I also have a long time and I'm coaching and I'm this and I'm that and the other. And I'm like super frustrated and irritated with these people who aren't respecting my boundary. Or I can be clear on what my boundary is and then I cannot answer the phone, which is what I do. I can't stop people from calling. I can decide to uphold my own boundary by not answering. Do you see that big difference? When you release the idea of other people should respect my boundary, then all of a sudden you're putting the power back into your hands. Because if you set a boundary and then you're expecting the other person to uphold it, you're up shit's creek. I'm just going to let you know. You're going to be frustrated, irritated. You're going to have a lot of drama there versus this is my boundary. I've been clear on it and it's my responsibility to uphold that. So I have a lot of clients who feel guilt around saying no to certain things and they think the person should just not ask. Well, they shouldn't ask for that. They know I'm busy. They shouldn't ask me to do this and that last minute. They know they shouldn't ask me for money. They know that I'm doing this and that. All these different things come from the thought of what you think you should be doing and the thought of what they should be doing. They shouldn't ask. That's just a painful thought. And the fact of the matter is, we can't control other people. So if you want to experience less resentment, if you want to feel free in your life, no matter what other people are doing, and if you want to understand and uphold boundaries, if you want to have clear boundaries in your life that really serve you and they help you to show up better in your life, like that's truly what a boundary is. A boundary helps you to be your more authentic self. If I hate having conversations with people just off the cuff, you just called me and now I'm talking to you while trying to do three other things because I wasn't expecting to talk to you. I don't like that. And I used to do that. I used to try to be present with my kids and I used to try to have the phone conversation that I wasn't expecting and I'm doing this and I'm doing that. And I did not like that experience, right? And that caused me to show up a certain way I didn't like. Okay. So when I decided, oh, I noticed that I don't like taking last minute calls. Well, there's version A that's like, oh, I've told the people they should know, or people should just know that I'm busy and they shouldn't call me. And I spend my time now irritated and frustrated that they keep doing that. Or I show up for myself because I know I show up better when we have a scheduled call because everything around me is taken care of and I'm prepared for our call. Or I'm with my children and I know I'm not going to be chit chatting on the phone with this impromptu phone call. So I show up as a better mom, or maybe I'm with my husband or whatever. Maybe I'm with myself just doing what I want to do. I know that my life experience is better there. So there's me trying to get other people to uphold that boundary for me, or there's version B of me that upholds it myself. And I create the life experience I want. And I'm not controlling other people. I still get phone calls all of the time, and they get to do what they want to do. And I'm not trying to control them. Right. And I'm also upholding and respecting what I want to be experiencing. So if you want to feel more in control of your life, if you want to spend less time trying to control people, because I have not found anyone that has been successful with that. And if you want to have more joy, more peace, more freedom, then you've got to understand that boundaries are what help you do that. It's what helps you to be your authentic self in your relationships. When you don't set and uphold boundaries on your end, you're being a fake person. You're not being authentic. So the relationship can't be close anyway, right? So to wrap us up here, a boundary is a personal preference of yours. They're not right, they're not wrong, they're yours. They're not the responsibility of anyone else. You want to get clear on your boundary. You want to communicate that boundary very clearly. And you also want to communicate what you'll do. That's the second part of that boundary. So, for example, I might tell someone, I've had people ask, oh, I called you. And I'll say, oh, I don't take impromptu phone calls. I don't take last minute phone calls. If you call, I don't answer, but I do have this link where you can schedule a call. So they're very clear on you can call, but I won't answer. And they're very clear on that. Now, it's not my job to make them feel better about that or make it okay. It is my job to uphold my own boundary instead of expecting them to remember and to respect my boundary. They can call as many times as they want to, and I just don't answer. And so boundaries are two part. You're very clear on what it is. You've explained that, you've let them know, right? And the second piece of that is you uphold it. You are responsible for your boundary. If you struggle with people pleasing, if you struggle with trying to control people and get them to behave a certain way because you don't want to deal with the conflict and you're thinking they should just XYZ and you're just exhausted and overwhelmed and really just want to feel free and want to show up and do life the way you want to, whether it be work and your personal relationships with yourself, your business, boundaries are a game changer. And this is what I help clients with every day. And I would love to have a conversation with you to see if it would be a best fit to help you do the same things. And so to do that, I'll leave my booking link in the show notes. It's an hour set aside where I get really clear on what's going on with you. I want to know all about you, how I can help you, and you'll know exactly the type of work we do together and how setting boundaries will literally change your life experience and create opportunities for you to actually connect even more with the people you love. I hope this episode was helpful and you learned something about yourself and how important boundaries are. Until next time.
Hey girl, thanks for tuning in. If you love this and you want to take this work deeper, definitely reach out to me and let's schedule your free 1-hour consult. We will dive deep into everything you have going on, where you are, where you want to be, and clearly how I can help you get there. Super simple, no obligation, only space for deep transformation. I would love to hear from you. I'll leave my email in the show notes and also links where you can connect with me on social. Be blessed, and I'll talk to you next time. Bye.